It's circling back around some way.
So yours is not doing it.
So we're live now, guys, and we're gonna go ahead and just talk to the people.
All right. Good evening, guys.
Power to the people.
All right, that's a good one. That's a good one. Power to the people. That's right.
I mean,
Amen.
I'm gonna give everybody a little minute to get it.
Thank you, Jed.
Hey, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. This means so much to me.
It's my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Just send me a check because I need it.
All love.
Just kidding, man. I'm just kidding, man.
You ain't getting your pandemic check, man.
Yeah, I got it.
Wow.
All right. Well, what I might need to do is just go ahead and turn this second camera off. And that'll be better like that. All right, so for everybody that's tuned in thus far, you're here at the Lost Generation. This is the first iteration of this broadcast, and it's extremely exciting to have the guest that I have on today with me. There's really no way to encompass the careers, the mindsets, and just the energy that's in. It's not quite a room, but this chat room, because as soon as we all logged on, everybody started going ahead and sharing stories and almost collaborating and all that sort of stuff. So if you are logged on and you don't have coffee or a beverage of whatever your persuasion may be, this is going to be a fantastic, wonderful hour about Memphis music and how it has evolved and how it began to evolve past the period of time that so many of us hear about so often. And when we talk about Memphis music, we always speak of Stax and we always speak of Sun and American Studios and High and that heyday. But I wanted to take a step a little bit further than that and begin to sort of tell the story of how technology and how the changing of sound in the late 1970s and through the 80s began to sort of reconfigure and reshape the way that we thought about soul here in Memphis, Tennessee. And so we have some fantastic guests on here today. We wanted to have one more, and hopefully she'll be able to come on a little bit later. But for right now, I can't imagine being in better company. And thank you all for coming to be here.
It's a pleasure, my brother.
It's a pleasure for me too, Jed.
So would you like me to introduce you guys, or you want to introduce yourself?
Well, just say the name. I mean,
All right. Well, right here
from top left.
It's like we're on Hollywood Square. Well, longtime lead singer of the Barcades, Mr. Larry Dawson, also known as Larry D, right here on my right side. And me, I have Mr. Perry Michael Allen, a former member of Kilo and also a longtime producer. You are talking to Amsterdam, is that correct?
I couldn't hear the last part.
You're speaking with us from Amsterdam, is that right?
Right, that's right.
And it's what, 2 a.m. there?
Good morning.
Well, we really appreciate you taking some time to be with us today. And down in the corner, Mr. Dexter Haygood, a former lead singer of Zapion, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful group that was managed, is this correct, by Tommy Mottola.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was back in '84.
Awesome.
Well, we had a chance to go out on a tour with Hall & Oates.
Yes, sir. We're gonna get to the 80s, but I want to throw it back to the 1960s. If I could speak directly to Mr. Michael Allen and to Mr. Dotson, because the two of you were involved with both Stax and with High in that period, and you were able to sort of see the soul, as many of us know it, up close. Maybe if I could speak with you, maybe Larry D, you could start with your experience joining the Barcades as they were reforming that group. Could you take us back to that time period and work with the soul?
We can go in retrospect. I joined the band in 1970, and the Barcades prior to that point had only been an instrumental group. So I became the only lead singer the band has ever had, even to this day. until I retired a couple of years ago and then started my solo career. But we're talking 1970. Actually, we were more of a rock band. We were another rock and soul. We were experimenting, even though we were a premier soul label, which had Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Johnny Taylor. I mean, I was around so much original soul. It was unreal. And as we did Barcade for some 47 years, we did evolve. We got more of an R feel, but I don't want to move too fast. But until disco music came along, I mean, R&B really had real good roots. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. I wanted to jump in when you were telling, about the change in the case, because they were the group that were out. The rest of us were coming along, that sort of thing. It was a time of change. Because you had a new generation of Memphis musicians and singers come out.
True.
Just like I think I've seen 2 pages turn since then, but
we had to give you a spot of your own.
But yeah, that was it. That's how we the group I was in. I came up. It's strange. I'd be brief with this though, because it's a long one. I wanted to make records. And it just happened because everything was in place. My father taught at Porter, which was across the street from Booker T. Washington, where most of the K's came from, Carl Thomas, like that. And then after I finally got in with the group, my basis was around Carver High. So they put me in. They put me in around. That's when we met Larry, and then Larry was one of the guys that helped me get in to the scene. I was in the band called Dale Rays at the time.
Right, which played behind the group I formed in high school, the Temprees. You guys played behind us a lot. We traveled a lot from club to club, right?
It was destiny from high school.
Absolutely right.
So,
absolutely right.
I mean, yeah, man. Yeah, I
remember that. Okay, that's a name I heard in a long time. Good band, very good band. Mike was always in a good band.
Yeah, that was my first band. I got a word I was at Father Bertram.
Right.
I was all the way over. There's a band over by Carver. They're looking for some keyboard. So that's how I met Ray Griffin. See,
great bass player.
This meeting is crazy because Ray cut "Ring My Bell."
Ring My Bell, right? He sure did. Absolutely.
I say that. We don't have a lot of time, but boy, this story's long there,
Right.
So knowing Larry and the Tim Caprice, Harold Scott, Jasper Phillips, who was in Kilo later, we all kind of fought our way through it, and it changed the sounds, put ideas out there with this Memphis bass. And remember, we go out on the road. And they say, "Oh, the Memphis dudes."
Yeah,
it's like outlaw walking in a saloon. They get out the way because we had something different than any other cities. You had the Chicago, you had Philadelphia groups, New York, but we play those theaters on the chilling circuit, and we stand their ground, take the sound on.
Absolutely. And you know what was so good that on every corner, well, not on every corner, in Memphis, Tennessee, R&B music, good R&B bands was at every club I can remember. I mean, at every club, all the way to 5 o'clock in the morning, you could hear classic R&B sung by some of the best singers. A few are still around, But I mean, most have gone on because we're talking about a long time ago. But that's what I loved about Memphis, and that's why I said up until disco came along, R&B music flourished, man.
Yeah, Memphis it had a music scene.
Sound of our own, Memphis, the Memphis sound.
Every neighborhood part, you had bands. We all came up going back to how we started. All the schools had a band in all the neighborhood. You had Winston came out of
the
Chupangos and Melrose territory.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
we're old, man. We're old.
No, see,
old,
I don't
old
know.
And wise.
Thank goodness we can say that. You know,
absolutely.
We were the Delrays changed into Kilo later on. First we were Ebony Webb.
Good man.
We went to Ebony. We got a deal in 1970 with Willie Mitchell, and had to change the name. There was a Delrays in Louisiana or something like that. So we were Ebony Webb, and had nice. We had about three good singles. Made the magazine. Did had a nice little run going, you know. But our claim to fame was traveling with artists as a backup group. And that was the lesson. We did Shearland Circle, we did Apollo, we you know, every 2 weeks we're somewhere. Howard Theater, remember these? I don't even know if they're standing anymore.
I got thrown into it because I joined the band in 1970, and in 72 we did Watch Stax. I mean, which turned out to be just an iconic film. Yeah. Never in a million years did we think it was going to be as iconic as it has been throughout the years. I mean, great concert, and it didn't cost but $2 to get in, my brother. People don't know that. That concert was really to quiet the riots down in Watts. That was the whole purpose. And we are doing that, my brother.
If I could jump in with you guys, you know, we talked about Ebony Webb, and you talked about. I didn't mean to jump in a bad way, but
no, you better stop us because we can keep going like this.
Let's cut us off, man. We talk. Let's cut us. Jump in and ask questions because we're gonna talk.
Well, you know, one thing that I find really interesting where you guys' careers intersect is you know, although both of you have recorded for local labels, you both were on Mercury at a time. Is that correct with your respective groups?
We joined Mercury in 1976, and right up Stax closed in 75. We joined Mercury in 76.
I say Mr. Allen making the face because I'm getting you confused. Webb was on Capitol, so I'm confused. But tell me, Mr. Dawson, what was Mercury's you know, investment in Memphis at a time where they had both Confunction and the Barcades? Is that correct?
Good.
You know, we talked. Confunction was really originally in Vallejo, California, and in our travels, we had talked Michael Cooper and Felton into coming to Memphis. They were playing behind Rufus Thomas. And when they came to Memphis, they stayed kind of all together and ultimately got a record deal at Mercury Records. And Mercury, to get back to your point, Mercury was cherry picking different cities to get the self-contained bands, because they had the Gap Band, they had Kool and the Gang, Commodores, the Barcades, Confunction, Fatback Band, all of the self-contained bands that could actually write, record, and produce themselves along with their producer, if that was what it had within the group. That was Mercury's claim to fame. We did our deal over lunch, man. It had, I think it was about $500,000. We had never made that kind of money, you know. And so, we gave Mercury about 16 albums.
So that was a deal that was extremely, I'm sure, different from what was previously arranged with Stax when you guys were a band.
Duh.
Night and day. Obvious, of course, but I mean, for you guys to go from, as you mentioned, what was previously an instrumental band into this new sort of funk band outfit. What was sort of the transition of what Stax expected and what this major label expected?
At Stax, we were kind of misunderstood because we was doing stuff that was not really inherent of the label. As I said, we were the R&B label, kind of doing rock, soul, funk kind of a stuff. everything but solid R&B. So we were sort of the bad boys of Stax. And at that point, they were trying to find a way to make us more commercial. Mercury saw the commercialism in us. When Stax closed, I tell you this, Alan told us one thing. We were the last group to leave Stax. Alan Jones, our producer, said, y'all got one of two things to do. Either you guys can break up or you guys can go find you somewhere to play. We went to the Family Affair and we played one solid year for $75 a night. But during that time, in the daytime, we wrote Shake Your Rump to the Funk, Too Hot to Stop, Spellbound, and Attitudes. We wrote all those records, and ultimately, our first album on Mercury was Gold, and we would start spitting them out after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Mr. Michael Allen, you were a part of sort of that rebirth of Stax that would have gone on in the late 70s, and this would have probably been around the same time, Mr. Dotson, as you guys really got rolling with Mercury. Mr. How can you tell me about that new version of Stax and being under the leadership of David Porter and how it even came to be? If we could go to that sort of that funk era of the late 70s when Fantasy Records rebranded and rebirthed Stax.
Well, it's like a regular story, the phone call, and David wanted to do who do you have? I think 3 acts on the new label, and they had a contract with Fantasy Records out of California. Good budgets, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So it's like I talked to Ray, and it's okay, and I talked to Jasper Phillips. We got Terry from the old group, the Ebony Webb group, and so we needed a guitarist. And I think Ray had heard a guy named Wendell Moore, who was ridiculously talented and fast. He meshed with us perfectly. We were able to go and we had a budget to write the album, put the album together. The label was great because Fantasy had a jazz background, and we were talking about styles, not your regular R&B or blues oriented. It was in there, but it was more current with jazzy thing. I think groups like the Blackbirds were out that time, who happened to be on the label, which was great, and we fitted right in with them. We had a great good. The first year was great with their magazines. We had Black Stars. We were open for festivals and big Coliseum shows and everything. So that part was great, but Fantasy decided after 2 years to go into catalog business and just sell their archives. So it was just strange. It happened like this. I got a call in the morning talking about the second single and a budget for the next album. That evening, I got a call that the contract is over. This is no more released. No, the album. Thank you. So it was trying to find out why. I've heard of that story before, but it's like me, you know what I mean? And why? It changed like that in one day, and we found out that they just was selling the catalog and wanted to sell what they had in the shop already. All of the jazz things, Mingus, Davis. I mean, back that catalog, So the Soul Children were on the label. Just came back to me, and I can't remember the other one, but that's really a good 2-year run. That's all
So I'm sorry, Mr. Dawson, I cut you off.
That's the release Holy Ghost. We were on Mercury. We had a record called Shine that was out. Fantasy had bought the masters. They owned Holy Ghost. They released it at the same time that we had Shine Out. So we ended up, the record broke in New Orleans. So we ended up with two records on the chart at the same time. And I mean, where we were afraid to release it in 75, they were just waiting for us to get hot again, and they did it, and it turned out great. We ended up with two records in the top 5.
Yeah, it played
That's
good.
how Holy Ghost got released through Fantasy.
But Holy Ghost, man, I stood up. You know, I love the other diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Jay, you see how things happen during that time, during the 80s. Other groups had those deals. The late, like Larry said, the labels came in. I think Philip Rawls was one of the guys. There was another guy. I can't remember the name right now.
Yeah.
But they would look for groups that came in to Memphis. I think a group called Galaxy. I can't remember, but you know, it's those guys came in. If Dexter's still here, he had a deal. They made history. They were the first black serious rock group.
First. Yeah, Dexter's still here. Dexter, you got your snacks, brother.
No, I was eating some clam chowder, man. I was chilling. I was listening. I was listening to Larry and Al. And man, I was going back. He was talking about some Ebony Webb. Man, wasn't y'all both managed by Alan Jones?
No. Well, no.
Ebony Webb and y'all wasn't together.
What? No, Alan Jones. No, Alan. It would have been nice.
Well, you talking about, man? Thomas Brown was on guitar.
Thomas came with the second group. The Webb got reformed too.
Oh.
I went with the Al Green project.
Right.
I something I couldn't refuse.
Man, this whole time I thought that was.
That was the second group because some of the Webb went there. Ray went, Terry went, the same group. Chico.
That's right. Chuck.
You know, Chuck. We got
And Terry Quick, what group was that? Terry Quick was in.
Oh,
Terry was in the Newcomers. They were signed to us. Yeah, they were signed to our production company.
Oh yeah, I thought he was in another band group too, but I forgot.
Let's talk about your groundbreaking group, man. Talk about how big of a star you became and made us all proud.
Yes, right.
Larry,
on MTV.
Larry, I saw you one night in 2001. That was before I even got in the band. I said, Larry, you're gonna see me again. I said that. Then I started opening up.
You had an English accent too that night, didn't you? You had an English accent. You had an English accent.
Yeah. I
Okay.
Then we got.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
We was in the studio. We did one demo, and you remember I'm in your system, Michael Murphy.
Yeah.
Michael Murphy heard our stuff, man, on the cassette, and gave it to Jerry Greenberg, that had Sherelle. Sherelle, remember, let the music play.
Right.
Because Sherelle had a #1 song. And that's how Mirage got us, because Mirage had Sherelle, the system, and us.
Xavier.
And basically that's how it got started. We got on Electric Asylum. But the thing is, I had to develop, Larry.
We all did. We had to find ourselves. But you don't know how proud you made all of us and with the groundbreaking things you guys did. And it was a good record too. But to see you guys on MTV was like incredible at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was. I'm
But
telling you.
let me tell you, Larry. When I was in the 5th and 6th grade, I would come to the opening Park Shell and see you in the barcade. See,
That's
the
because
first
I'm old
time,
as water.
yeah, the first time, Lloyd wasn't in the band,
Right.
and then the
Right.
next
It was
time y'all introduced Lloyd.
yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah, but man, that was my boy. When I came on, see, I didn't come to see the band. I came to see the lead singer because I'm
Bless you.
developing for Michael Jackson, and then you
Right.
was my guy. You see, it went from Michael Jackson to you.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good company to be in.
And Larry, and then from then on, I snuck in all the concerts at the Coliseum. Like I saw Aerosmith open up for Bad Company. See,
Mm.
I saw Heart, Barracuda
Mm.
tour. So the Eagles with Joe Walsh joined the band.
Uh,
I saw AC/DC open up for Kiss. So I'm sneaking in all these at the Coliseum.
Mm. That's
But
good stuff.
that's where I'm learning everything from.
mm-hmm.
And you was my hand on. You didn't even know I was stealing your shit from the when you was still shitting yellow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It wasn't that much to steal from. It wasn't that much to steal from. But I tell you something that all three of us have in common. We loved our craft for the
Yeah,
same reason. We were all hard workers
hard
and
workers,
you
man.
couldn't hold us back. And that goes
Yeah.
for Mike and that goes for you too, Dex. And I mean that we
I'm
all had
sweating
that.
the first song. I'm sweating, Larry.
Come on, man. You
You
know.
know that you just like you.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
telling you.
And Mike was always the guy who, as I said earlier, was always in a great band. Not just a good band, great band, especially from back when we all started out together.
Good band.
You pushed for that, and there's some guys around now who do the same thing, but everybody doesn't have
Uh-huh.
that.
Mm.
Everybody doesn't have that drive.
Yeah.
That's the thing that perpetuates you from on stage to get behind the studio board and do what you do, Mike, which is produce well.
Yeah.
Back then it was a fraternity. It was okay. Your gigs with competition and your your lists and stuff. But
It
we
was.
were all brothers. We'd help each other out and stuff like that. Like I was talking about you and Scott and everybody and other people. I could keep going with that. I go back to Ronnie Caldwell
Wow.
with the Barcades.
From the original band.
Yes, I knew because I knew James and Ben. My father taught them. You know what I mean? I was always around and stuff. And Ronnie lent me his organ for I think one of my first important gigs. And we were
Wow.
friends. We were friends. So we trade all. When I was at Waylo, I went and got new musicians.
Mm.
Because as Jared was talking about, the sound was changing. We changed it. I had that gut thick bass sound,
Mm-hmm.
and here come the synthesizers. Here come the other guitar riffs. Here comes other strings. It may not be strings. You know what I mean?
And
For the
music
sound.
got and music got
You talking about
shallow.
the sound changes?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about when the sound changes. For example, the Temptations, "I Found Sunshine" to "Psychedelic Shack" in the
Yeah.
'70s. Now, let me tell you something about who changed the sound from the '70s to the '80s. Prince. Now, by the time Prince put out Little Red Corvette, everybody started firing their horn section. Rick James, the Barcades,
Yeah.
Cameo, everybody. Now I know, I love Scoop, Harvey, and Frank.
Right. Jerry, I know you got some questions you want to ask. You want to get in? Because we're gonna be talking, man. You got
Okay. Too much to talk.
I had some questions on
Please,
I had some records I wanted to play, but that's all right because this is special for me, and I know it's special for you guys. So I don't want to step on a moment that's
No. There's probably some questions people that tuning in want to know.
Well, if you guys have questions at home, please be sure to drop them in the chat. Mr. Michael Allen, I want to play one of your records because I think I just wanted to play it. How about that?
I'm scared. I don't know. I changed so much myself. Each record. Which one is it?
Actually, let me play the flip side.
Uh-oh.
Is that a 45?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does anybody know someone here that's a cousin of Andrew Love?
That's me. That'd be me.
Wow.
He told me that. I couldn't believe that.
Okay, all right. Wow.
That's good.
Andrew Love, the quiet giant.
So this is very different from the Memphis sound that many of us know.
Before it's time. You're gone. Okay.
So, Mr. Michael Allen, how did the sound of Royal Studios go from Al Green and Ann Peebles to what it was with Waylo, with people like you and Lynn White and Lanier and Co.
Company. There you go.
I mean, I could go on and on and on. How does Memphis get to that sound?
Well, it influences from outside, like Larry said. You pay attention to the market, but also, like before I said, it was another generation of musicians. There was another generation of musicians, who came from another background, listening to different things. Of course, they're gonna come from the blues and the gospel and the Memphis heritage, but they're a new generation. They express themselves differently. So at Waylo, I came back to Waylo in '82 after Kilo, and Willie said to me, "I want to do this label." And it's Waylo, right? Willie, and Yvonne, Lowe, and Ona. So that's Waylo.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So what I did was go and get different musicians. I went and got Steve Potts. I remember he was the first one I got. I got guys that weren't in the circle that recording studio circle that were bad, that had something to say, and they came out of the street, and that's where the sound was going to come out of right there. So it was Steve. It was Jimmy Kennard, bass player.
Wow.
Thomas Bingham, I remember. He played on a lot of my records, and then Angela Earl. And once they were in, Willie could hear them, see what this new formula is going to be, and then it would go with Lanier. Lanier was a self-contained band. We had a big hit on them, "Dancing in the Night," and then another song. but the sound worked. It worked, and then but we had with Lynn White, it was another approach. She didn't have synthesizers and all that kind of stuff like that. But the musicians gave their personality to that high record foundation, and you make that cake until it's right, and then we had a guy from Chicago, Billy Always, David Hudson, and it went on.
Right.
How was it to work with Al? With Willie? How was it to work with him with Willie in the studio?
An incredible master chorus. Incredible. They scare you.
Good ears.
You seen it there. They're good guys. The guys are talented and stuff. Then the ones that scare you. How do they know? How do they do that? How do they know this? I mean, really. and the stuff works. And I learned to get to work shoulder to shoulder with them and high rhythm section and Al Jackson and
And
James
Al
Mitchell.
Green.
Learn it, and then Al with writing that material, expressing himself in that way, you know, and seeing him develop until he had the right one. He was still in love with you. There you go, and they were gone.
Well, Mr. Michael Allen, if I could jump back in, I have a specific question about those days.
See where he is?
Was it difficult to get Al Green to record music in this new style that you guys were developing at that studio?
Honestly, okay. In the beginning, yes, he was set on non-secular, because he had to. This is what happened. He had to familiarize himself with what he wanted to go into. He didn't want to go into gospel before he started, and that's the truth. The family, the whole thing. When he got to a certain point, he could do what he wanted to do. He decided to go that way.
After 20 hits, 20 gold records.
He could do it. He could do it. You do what you want to do. That's what he wanted to do. No other people believed it or not, he was willing to give up all of that to get into what he wanted to do. And he came right around to he hasn't gone anywhere.
What did you guys think when you first heard this record? She's not here tonight, but what did you think when you knew that this was Memphis music?
You know what? I missed that record. I never thought it was going to be as big as it was. It astonished me. Not to take anything from the record, but you know what? I just missed that record. I liked it, but I did not know it was going to be an iconic record that still, when you play it in the clubs today, it still gets the same effect. There are records that happen like that from time to time, and that is one of them. That is one of them. They're not novelty records. I guess they are kind of, sort of. What do you think, Mike?
I think it was the chemistry and the right time. It's one of those records. It came along. I did, like you, and like I went like, what? And I went like, oh, I see what this is gonna do. You know what I mean? And it was a good record. It had the ear candy, as they say now.
Right.
Danceable, unique voice, good to listen to, the little voice.
I booked her on the Tom Joyner cruise 2 years ago, and when she got to sing that record, I mean, it was like the place went absolutely wild 40 years later. But I mean, I guess we all have records like that. But yeah. I mean, Ring My Bell is just one of those records. And sometimes you don't give radio what it does have. You give radio what it doesn't have. And I think that was a big part of what it was.
That's a good one, yeah. That's a good one. No. It was
and
just
she's a doll. Anita Ward is just an absolute doll to work with. She still is, and still got a real good show.
Yeah, I didn't know she was still performing.
Yeah, I booked it 2 years ago. I didn't have booking agents. I've been had booking agents since 1999.
Oh, and,
great! She's still got a real good show. Really good performance.
That's good. Yeah, because she was like an angel, but she had a great manager and good team with her.
Absolutely.
Like if she remember, like Jay, when she said she remembered, we did the Kilo group did a Mexican tour with her, Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico City. We were going to South America, and then she lost her manager. He passed in Mexico City. It's like that was in, and then we lost touch.
Her husband manages her now. He's a very nice guy.
Good.
Very nice guy. Dexter, you asleep?
Dex still on there. Yeah, I'll bring him on in.
I called Dexter as a fan.
I was just hearing you saying about that. Anita Ward song was one of those songs. Holy Ghost is one of those songs.
I was going to say that.
You think?
Hell yeah, man. Holy Ghost. Larry, when I first heard Holy Ghost back in '76, I said, "Where the hell, man? That's the fuck." Oh,
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Holy Ghost is that kind of song.
It was the most sampled record for about a year and a half. It was one of the most sampled records, and then there's a certain part of it at certain points in time, it was the most sampled record. I mean, and we know what? To me, just to me, I don't think we've made a funkier record than that. I don't think so. We made some funky records, but not as funky as that.
Holy Ghost.
Hey man, look, that holds up the Flashlight to me. You hear me?
That's saying stuff. That's saying stuff.
Man, that's a flashlight, dude. You don't even know.
I didn't want to repeat myself.
But you know what? That's a good point. You know what, Dexter? That's a good point. Flashlight is one of those records.
Yeah.
Flashlight is one of those records.
Yeah.
You know,
the Holy Ghost is a flashlight, man.
Okay. I concur.
I'm trying to think of another one, but
how about I play another one that I like? Yeah, that was right. I'm messing up my turntable here. Mr. Dawson, this isn't my favorite, but I'm rearranging my records, so I'm having a hard time finding the Sum Up Our Love, which is my favorite. So that's quite different from much of what people would imagine when they think of Memphis Soul. Am I fair in saying that?
You know what? I mean, after the Barcades played on Isaac's first 5 albums, which included Hot Buttered Soul, Shaft, to Black Moses, To Be Continued, especially after the success of Shaft, what better group to pull a record like that off? You know what I'm saying? It was a direct spinoff, arranged gracefully like Shaft was, but we just gave it another twist. And Homer Banks helped with the lyrics for that record. And when we performed on Watch Stax, that performance was so impactful till they captured the shot of us on stage, and it was forever after that part of the trailer and part of the official poster, man. But I tell this story, man, that always breaks people up. For those people who watch Stax, what we had intended to do, we had called Metro Golden Mare. We had rented white chariots and white horses. And that's how we were going to come into the Los Angeles Coliseum to enter to the stage. Isaac Hayes found out about it, and he said, "Oh, hell no." So Isaac was the king, Black Moses was the king. We were trying to sneak into it because it would have been amazing. Yeah. But it would have been a showstopper, and it was Isaac Hayes' show. So truthfully, he stopped us right. We were being bad kids. Actually. That's something Dexter would have done. That's something Dexter would have done. Dexter was a bad kid too, real bad kid.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Dex? Your mic is off.
Evelyn Champagne was at one of our gigs. We was outside downtown with a Handy Park, and we you said, "Dexter, what's your sign?" because you're an Aquarius. I said, I'm an Aquarius, man. You said, no wonder your ass so funky. Yeah.
Yeah. What day were you born?
Huh?
What day were you born?
The 5th?
February.
Yeah, February the 5th.
You're a real Aquarius, right? Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Charlie Wilson,
Yeah.
Kevin Yarbrough. I was born the same day with Yarbrough Peoples. I was born the same day. Dennis Edwards.
Hey.
What's the leader of the Dramatics? L.J. Reynolds. All of us Aquarius.
Yeah.
Somebody Aquarius got to be in the center of the stage, ain't it?
Hey, man.
Record breaker. First black rock. I mean, before the other ones. If you remember the Living Color.
Living Color, right?
Before Living Color. Us boys.
We opened it. We kicked the doors open for them.
We sure did. Yeah.
When they got that Grammy, they thanked us when they got that Grammy.
Oh, good.
Tell me about this record, Jack.
That song was number 1 on K97 Countdown, 101 Countdown, and number 2 behind Purple Rain Countdown.
Wow.
And Rock 103.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So how did Xavion get formed? How'd that come about?
Oh, Slugger the drummer, man. Slugger did every damn thing. Slugger, he fired half the guys and hired some new guys. By the time he got through hired and fired, we had a whole new band. Me and Slugger basically did all the originals as far as, Slugger the original. I came in about a month later. They came to my house and drafted me and Thomas Hardy. It was 2 of us. We had like a Sam Dave rock show. It was 2 of us, man. The Squares ended up snatching him.
Right.
And they said, Dex, you ain't gonna never be able to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
That's when all the songs became rock songs.
Wow.
You really got me. Songs like that, rock.
Do you remember the version of "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself" you did?
The one I did?
Didn't you do a version of that?
Yeah, down at Nico's, down at Cotton Row.
That's right. Right.
You heard that?
Yes, I did. See that?
Oh yeah.
Ain't no secret.
Did you hear me do a Wildflower?
No, I did not. I missed that one.
You can go to YouTube. It's on YouTube.
I heard that.
Play that record.
That's me and Kevin and Skip Xavier did that.
So that's Scott Summers, who's in the chat, asked why there was no second Xavion record.
Huh? One
of our viewers why there's no second Xavion record.
No, there wasn't a second Xavier album. We was with some Jews, man. They didn't, they just did one thing because it was an experiment, basically. Drummond Matola, he managed Hall of Notes, and he happened to hear the stuff over to Jerry Greenberg's, and he always jumped on stuff, but we didn't get a second album. They gave us a second a budget to start on the second album, but it didn't do nothing. It didn't come out.
Yeah.
You got
I want to play one more of yours, if that's all right, because I know we got to get out of here in about 8 minutes. But I want to play one more of yours.
Let it go. Oh. Are we there?
Lose him? Did we lose him?
We jumped around quite a bit, and that's all right. I really just want to see if there are any final thoughts about this style of music that came after disco, and really is the connection between Memphis's soul and what eventually became hip hop. I don't know if Mr. Mike Allen, you were around when Boo Mitchell and the M Team started to record at High and sort of led the charge on hip hop being made in Memphis. But that'll be the subject of next week's Lost Generation.
Cool.
So really an interesting puzzle piece to how we got from Booker T and the MGs and Carla Thomas and the music of Dick Kane Cole and Nat D. Williams and WDIA and all those things that were going on then, and what my generation has grown up now with 3 6 Mafia and La Chat and all these other different.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts? Can we go around on just how important this style of music was to taking Memphis to a different place after much of our soul had left?
Just one final thought for me. One of the biggest thrills of my life and the most educational part of my life was being the Stax around all these wonderfully talented guys, Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, Johnny Taylor, Albert King. There was just no school I could go to and learn as much as I did there. And it's often been said that Motown was champagne and caviar, Philadelphia International was hot dogs and Kool-Aid, and Stax was chitlins and green. And so, and that's what it was, man. We had it naturally.
I told you, that's when we were on the road. We had to stand up. We couldn't carry the flag, boo.
Absolutely.
Like that.
That's a final thought for me.
I was out by the end of the turnover. I was in Italy by 90, 89 I went. And I heard I would keep up with what was happening. And I'm glad Boo and Archie finally got into the studio, behind the board and start expressing themselves, talking. I'm back to the new generation. And what they're hearing,
good stuff.
And for them to come through, they would, they have a good base, the sound in it building, as far as High is concerned. And I wish them all the luck in the world. I hope they keep it going and stay true,
Absolutely.
Back to Larry. I'm with you on that. We had the best schooling. I don't know if they have anything equal to what we had.
What do you think, Dex?
And everything that came, that we came up with, So I wish them luck and stay focused.
So this is what came out of High when hip hop started coming out of High. So I want to make sure that thank you guys once again. I'm sorry, Mr. Michael Allen, you have something you want to add there?
No, just a crack. Still funky.
It's still extremely funky.
Coming out of Memphis is gonna be funky. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jazzy Faye, Jazzy Faye had a record called Rising to the Top with Electra. I see somebody in the comments just mentioned that. And also hopefully we'll be able to breach all of that next week. Thursday, same time. We'll have some special guests and we'll be announcing those soon. Brother Dexter, we thank you so much for being here this evening. Brother Larry D and Brother Michael Allen. It really means so much that you guys were here to celebrate Memphis music during Black Music Month. And I am in awe of you guys and such a big fan, such a great fan of you guys, and really honored that you guys would allow me to be a fly on the wall while you guys just share the brilliance that came out of the city. And hopefully we can do something like this once again.
Thank you, Jay. Keep
Have
the
a
flame.
great evening.
All right.
Keep the
Y'all
flame up.
be well.
Peace.